requires creation as well. The whole consequence thing, the fact that this animal is able to live with this.
So let me ask you this: if creation is real, and God is real, and God created us,
Wait a minute, hold on. Let's be specific. Creation of what? I just told you about my ducks and her eggs. That creation is real for sure.
for sure. I'm not.
And life is gonna come.
What I mean is that God created everything, and that the reason is a reason for us. What is the reason for us? Like if God really did make all these things synchronize together, and put us here.
First of all, I'm grateful, even if you're not. I'm very grateful. What an experience.
Amazing time,
right? And if you take time and space out of things, right? Like the people that sold me Call of Duty, right? Gave me a great experience that I've been doing for years and years and years. And the person that I am on that platform is the person that I would like to be off. An experience has been delivered. It would be like saying, what was the thinking on somebody making to amuse people so that they could have a full experience and be able to enjoy it. You know that because things happen like the humor thing that I was telling you about, and health, how important good health is over the opposite of that, and how everything works without you needing to micromanage it. Your heart doesn't require you to count its beats, and what's the percentage of brains that are working perfectly versus the ones that are not. Like, all of the processes needed to run you are just too well done to be thrown away like not important. Because if you learn about it, you'll learn about the whole workings of the universe. And it's like that in too many different places for us to ignore. And the fact that we get a chance to have that experience while at the same time looking at a dog and understanding that our life is 1 billion times greater than Fido's. And we can make sure Fido has a glorious life. And ours is still so magnificent that we're in control of certain things and that we can not get things right and then get it right, and not know things and then know things, and then it's a wonderful experience that was created.
It is a wonderful experience, and we seem to have by far the most unique one on the planet. We seem very different than everything else. Very different than everything else. Even though we're a part of it, purposely. That's why I was
super efficient.
What are we here for? What is the purpose? Is it just to enjoy and be grateful, which is great? Like, one of the things that terrifies people, it's a very interesting concept that terrifies people. People are terrified of living the same life over and over and over again. If you tell people that the journey of your soul is that you will live your life over and over again until you get it right. And one day you'll get it right. In one lifetime you'll achieve enlightenment. You're going to go through the same lifetime over and over and over again until you get it right. People are terrified of that. But I say...
Right, but that will require a creator, though.
Sure it would, but what I'm saying is, why would you be terrified of that when you're not terrified to exist right now? Why are you terrified of existing right now forever? I don't find that terrifying. If you enjoy now. If If you enjoy now's great.
Whenever you die, it's forever. You know what I mean? So I know and have known in my life that I'm going to live forever. I know I'll die, but I know I'm going to live forever until then, and then live beyond that.
Well, that certainly is a better approach to life than it gives you comfort. And that's
what history shows us. History has shown us that human beings are still here, not because of our wise decision making. We've got assistance along the way needed, and we have implemented it globally. This is why those one world people exist, because it's a very powerful concept to have, and far too lucrative and beneficial to not be attempted.
Yeah, I mean, it's a power organization. I would try to co-opt every single leader, try to suck them in, offer support, bring them out to where the fuck I have mass meetings, fly everybody in private jets to talk about the climate crisis.
All organizations have to follow the same rules.
Yeah, that's wild.
Recruitment is an important facet of all.
We have to get some young global leaders.
Well, understand, this is the only reason that we can talk about these just because of time. Like, they aged out. Like,
Right.
get in. So everybody got decrepit over there, and they can't exchange really to this period of history. So that's how we ended up throughout history. It was much easier to get contact. Right. That's part of it.
Imagine going to a world that what do those freaks do? Listen to devices and scan around the room. All their phones been put in bags, locked away in the lead vault. What do those freaks do? Because you know it's not normal shit. You know everybody's buttoned down like that and wants to control the world. There's something involved that's outlandish and to keep a secret. That's always been the case. Secret societies. That's the whole Eyes Wide Shut. That there's freak shit going on behind the scenes. Anybody that really wants to control everything. You don't just want to control everything. You want to control everything. It's freak shit too.
Right, I'm saying, but these Epstein-like characters have existed throughout history, whether they were kings or what, like human beings are human beings universally. So everybody is a supplier. Epstein, Weinstein, like these guys knew what these extremists liked and provided it, and provided the way for you to have $1 billion and not create a fantasy island type environment has not existed throughout history.
Right. And there's always been those people can only kind of interact with those kind of people. When you reach that certain level of wealth and global success, like you're a Bill Gates type guy, how many guys can Bill Gates have? Bill Gates can't just go bowl, join the bowling team, make friends with other bowlers. It's too weird. You gotta hang out with his kind. And the more you do that, the less you are in touch with what makes sense to say. And that's when you see them saying the most outlandish shit. They don't recognize how regular people react to what the fuck you're saying. You know, What? We're gonna own nothing and be happy? What the fuck did you just say? Did you say I'm gonna own nothing and be happy? So, but there's things. So who owns the things, and who enforces who owns the things? And how do you do that? When you take away everybody's weapons, you're the only one that has weapons, and you get to decide who owns the things. No one owns the things, and everyone's happy. Okay.
Right, but part of what you're trying to do is you're trying to come up with something that allows you to have the power while also profiting simultaneously. Right. So if it's modern religion, let's say, so in Jesus' time, right, when they said pay the tithes, right, it was you had your whole farming plot. Let's say it was 40 acres and you had corn planted there, right? You would when it came time to harvest, you would harvest everything except the rows that were on the fence, right? And the rows that were on the fence, that was the 10% of your field that was for people that didn't have it. So it wasn't just given the 10%. It was also the fact that human nature is if you were going to give people some of your crops, you're going to pick out the best crops for you and your family, and then you'll put another pile for the giveaway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This took care of that, where it was all equal. And the person that didn't have to feel like they were a beggar. They could come and pick and see which corn they liked and get. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's a smart move just for harmony in the community too. I think people have a vested interest in this farmer being successful with his crop. Right? Some of that crop is yours.
But the decision to take it from that to God said, give me 10% in this plate is going to make $1 billion a day.
Yeah.
This is why Tesla has to go. Why? Because not what Tesla is saying about electricity. In fact, he's saying this should be free for everybody.
Right. Man, wanting to aerial electricity free for everybody like radio.
And the day that you say that,
that's a wrap.
It's cheaper to keep because you make $200 million a day. Yeah. And all of it universally. You should pay for this and selling it too.
Yeah. And we'll shut it off if you fuck around.
So for us to say, I think they're gonna do that with cars. This is how this goes in these 100% processes.
Yeah, that's the conspiracy theorist's biggest fear about electric cars. But it's not just electric cars. We found out it's an OnStar. It's on, I have a Cadillac Escalade that has an OnStar. If I'm driving, the government wants to stop me, they can shut my car off. It's crazy.
And if you were in that business, what would you tell them they need to do in the next 5 years?
Yeah,
get better at it.
Yeah, get better at that. Control where they go. Control the steering wheel. Auto driving at all costs. Auto driving at all costs.
Is this not what we would say to Tesla?
Yeah.
I mean, to Elon, if he said, I want to make cars.
Right.
Well, we say, okay, well, these are the regulations, and you have to make them like this. And
it'd be nice if you could just control that. Here, this is how you sell it to people. If someone steals your car, we can get it back. And you go, oh, that's great. Someone steals my car, they can get it back. How are they going to get it back? Well, they control your car.
You can make it cheap enough to not be a difficult sell.
Yeah, maybe
that's what capitalism is about.
Yeah. Well, that's also like when you get free internet or free services, right? It's free, but what you're giving up is your data, which is extremely valuable. So they're giving you something. You can use Google, but now they have all your data, and they're just a big net that mines data. And because of that, they're one of the most powerful entities that's ever existed on Earth. There was a story that
we learned this from fishermen, how a net works, and how much it's important to get as much in as you possibly can. And that's
yes.
Where the DNA industry is built off of is the fact of the future. Like At that same point that you're saying that we'll have those cars that do that, they'll be able to predict crime
Oh yeah.
and step in before certain things even.
Or they'll probably instigate you to a certain level of stress that they could indicate that you're about to commit crime, and then they come in and get you.
They won't need to. They won't need to be that nefarious. Only because some of this stuff we know already. It just requires profiling that we're not comfortable. Worldwide, most terrible crimes are committed by most crime worldwide is committed by men with a micro penis. Doctors This is why AI exists. You're AI. You store your information. You can make moves based on it. So it's not a difficult process. All through history, they have these oracles and these heads that gave answers.
Right.
This is where that whole occult conversation intersects. Because at the end of the day, information is information. Yin yang thing that applies to everybody.
And we're slowly getting connected to that. Slowly getting sucked into that black hole to the point where it will be inescapable.
Right.
Yeah. And those old billionaire dudes love being controlled.
What else are you to do with that?
Buy a bigger yacht. Yeah, that's the problem. Right. What's the next game? What's the real game?
As human beings, that's what our expectations are.
Always.
What can you do? At the end of the day, how much money you amass is only about either how you can help others and that you don't be fulfilled because you never helped enough. And that's what the whole thing is, not being able to help people and just wish that you could help them. So then everybody
Another major pattern that human beings fall into time.
Jewish people, process that they had certain information and wherewithal and conversation does not happen with other cultures. And that exists only in a few places around the world, but they're always important, especially if you look at things from a non-religious point of view.
Again, it goes back to information. Yeah. I mean, all cultures exchanging informations with each other, and the healthiest cultures, the ones that can both give the most freedom and allow people to innovate.
Right, helping ourselves and others.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's part of the process, right? But that's no different than what everybody's religious stories said.
That's real.
Interestingly, I don't believe. You either believe in the natural and the supernatural, or you don't. And there are facets to everything. So if you don't believe in any of the supernatural, I would assume that you don't believe in God either. Just like I was telling you earlier, I don't know how you could be a Christian and actually trust. It's in your book. It says there was a war in heaven and God was fighting Satan and threw him down here. That's taking place.
Also, in the Old Testament, Ezekiel's story. Ezekiel's story is essentially about a UFO encounter.
I was really frustrated as a black person. And so I felt very good when I found that some of the books of the Bible that were banned because they had black guys in them.
Really? What books of the Bible? Is it the New Testament? It's when they were
You've heard about the book of Enoch.
Yes.
You know that book, it says that Noah was an albino.
I always thought one about that was an illusion. They talked about being hundreds of years old.
And it tells everybody's story.
Yeah. But here's my thought. If human beings become were at one point in time, more technologically advanced than we are now, which is possible, we are on the verge of taking human life and expanding it way beyond that. We're like real close to that. People that are alive today will live to be 100.
I'm not qualified to be having any of this conversation.
I'm barely qualified because I've talked to a lot of qualified
disclaimer, but understand, we know more now. Like we know that the Earth is not spinning now the same way that it once was. You know that.
We had slightly different, measurably different, right?
Interesting thing is in all of those stories that we talk, it never says that they did anything different that got
Yeah, they were there.
This is at a time when people dying.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating because there's no way to go back there and see what the fuck was going on.
Let's be fair though. They're not telling some wild story. Like if they say that a guy had that this guy lived 600 years, they're also telling you about the 346 children that he had and his 1,500 wives.
Right.
Like, hold on. These are numbers to back up.
Right. If human beings do live to be 500 years old, that's a real possibility.
That would be the only way that you could show that.
Yeah.
Is by
talking about all the wives and all the children, and if you do take what we know now in terms of like what they're capable of doing now with human beings and lengthening telomeres, there's a lot of different methodologies that they're using that they believe will extend human life. The use of metformin, NMN, hyperbaric chambers. There's a bunch of different things they're doing. And then there's CRISPR. When they're doing genetic engineering on kids now, and in China, they did genetic engineering that would make the children more likely to be brilliant, more likely to be super intelligent.
Sir, why are you acting surprised by key components of the breeding process?
Right. True, right?
If we're talking about Frisians, or if we're talking about German Shepherds or Doberman Pinschers, this is perfectly fine, right?
Right.
For me to say that thanks to these reasons, this dog is the sheer example of the conformation of the breed, and that his attributes are his intelligence and his loyalty and his
right.
This is all part.
You could do that shit in a test tube for your kid. Why wouldn't you do it? That's what I think they're going to start off with normal stuff.
It all starts off as normal stuff, though, because it's abnormal. So the first thing you're doing is, okay, so we're in charge of, like, how could you know? Or the question that we had. And that's why in that profession, they're allowed to do certain things and then tell you they're not doing them. That's the key.
Yeah, if they're telling you that there's no clones, the guy telling you is probably a fucking clone. At this point, I have no doubt that they've made human clones. They've made dog clones. You can get your dog clone. If your dog's gonna die, you can get the DNA from your dog. It'd be eerily similar to your dog. You think including some personality traits, which is very bizarre, very pet cemetery. But they can do that. Why can't they do that to people? They can.
Well, here's before this goes off. Because there is a God far for your you can't really get much usage.
So if there is a God and you have a clone, the clone doesn't have a soul because you have a soul to give that clone.
Or a personality. Or certain things like a subconscious. Like that's not available. Lungs are, heart is, arms are. But subconscious, we still don't have to understand how we're able to be as brilliant as we are in this world while only using a portion of there are those of us that know what the pineal glands, what medicine says it's for, and what that will mean. And so those people's job is to make sure there's fluoride in all the water. So your pineal gland will shrivel.
It calcifies wherever happens to it. The fluoride thing is wild. The fact that people are up in arms about them putting fluoride in your fucking drinking water is so crazy. It's so unnecessary.
It's brilliant on the other end. So what happened is the reason people have that relationship is they cleaned up the water. You see what I'm saying? So people at that time just remember the water not being that great. And then all of a sudden the water is really great and it's got fluoride and it's good for your teeth.
Despite the fact that there's direct correlations between high levels of fluoride in drinking water and low IQs. They think it lowers people's IQs. They think it's terrible for you. Fluoride's dangerous. You're not supposed to swallow toothpaste.
Look, whatever you're saying, people won't find out about that for 100 years. And I'm not and most of these decisions are made like that.
Yeah. Most people are terribly unaware. When you bring up, they always say it's good for your teeth. Like, don't you brush your fucking teeth? Why do you need fluoride? Why do you need fluoride in your water? Are you sure that's why your teeth aren't falling out?
It's the fact that people don't understand that it's a toxic thing that you can't buy or purchase or handle.
It's in your drinking water.
Like,
and it's not doing you any good other than supposedly it's good for your teeth.
Well, even if it was.
Yeah, even if it was.
Even if it was great for your teeth and your bones, you drinking it wouldn't be the way you'd be trying to get it. But
I don't even use fluoride toothpaste.
I'm not going to let you take me where this conversation is going.
Where's it going?
Now that we went to fluoride, like,
Where's
I
it
have to cut no further than that. Once you start having they'll do, like,
yeah,
you understand everything's a campaign, and that's how you can approach it. Everything is find out.
Making money off
Where's the profit? How does this make sense? Why?
Someone right now, fluoride plants. What the fuck are they doing? Somebody just introduced legislation to try to remove fluoride from some state from drinking water. Some people are waking up to it. They're realizing this is so unnecessary and obviously not good.
Well, just understand that there are too many places.
True. Flint, Michigan. Still that way. There's what about that place in Ohio?
And why? Because nobody wants it to be their fault, so nobody will take
right.
You understand how?
Even the government. There's plenty of money for
not even.
Yeah.
Like how are we allowed to have a foreign policy? We are violating the policies here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? What do you mean the immigrants are getting a check and we're putting them up in places? What? You mean in the homeless people's face?
Right, in the homeless people's faces.
Like,
right?
Let us show you what we could have done.
Right.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's not okay as a society.
No. Well, did you see the scam that they were trying to do in New York City? Where they were trying to give them debit cards for $10,000, but there's people getting cuts all along the way?
That wasn't a scam. That was business that got uncovered.
Yeah.
And I'll prove it to you. If you go to jail in New York, everybody goes to Rikers Island. So I was at Rikers Island. So if you got money on you when you go in, they give you a card when you leave it. It's got money on it. You know, like, systems are the system. Like,
right. Yeah. There's a lot of money being made.
Yeah.
A lot of money being tossed around in the system. And if you have a thing like an open immigration policy, for sure, someone figuring out how to profit off that. Someone's figuring out something about that.
No, you're looking at it the wrong way. There is no one who isn't.
Everyone's profiting.
How ridiculous is it for you to think you have the greatest country in the world and then it not be a big deal to get there?
Of course. Of course.
This is the bees saying, why do they love our honey so much?
Well, no one's shocked at that. What people are shocked at is there's no effort whatsoever to stop the stem of illegal immigration. That's what people are freaked out about. Like, it seems like
we're not freaked out about the loss of bees.
I am.
If all the bees are gone, we're going to die as a civilization because we didn't protect one of the most important insects in the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know.
And they think cell phone signals are fucking them up too.
Well,
can you imagine you're going to be forever, but all of a sudden someone just uses cell phone signals everywhere? And
This
like,
is
oh,
part
no.
of the purpose of religion in society. Trying to get you away from exploring all of the things you could be doing with your time. Really somewhere that's healthy.
Like, what do you mean?
Like principles of meditation, believing that you should be trying to be nice. You know, because it's not really that profitable, right? But here we are really would help our country and civilization treated the downtrodden. That the truth is, there's very little money.
Yeah, and motivated.
And
I mean, shit. If I just walked
and that's what's made all immigration. It, like the Mexican, the second, they were their own joke to the civilization. Yeah, you tell that you're over, but anybody that comes over willing to work hard and succeed, and those are people you want apart, and they immediately help. Like, you can look at the extremes, of course, but the benefit astronomical. Always have been since.
Yeah, the benefits are great. The side effects are crime. And that's what you have to be careful of. Especially when you got organized crime that's coming in to sell fentanyl. Got a lot of that. That's a wild one. Because that's propped up by laws. That's propped up by our drug laws. And that puts you in a real complicated situation. Do you make drugs legal? Everything legal. The problem is you're going to get a bunch of people to get addicted to drugs that probably wouldn't without that. And you have to say, is that just part of the process? We have to learn to deal with this new thing that's everywhere and readily available. And how many people are going to try it just because it's legal? Probably quite a few. But at least how many people are not going to die from fentanyl poisoning because they're going to get pure stuff? Probably a lot.
Yeah, talking fentanyl in specific, like, it's a very difficult conversation to have because most of the things that we will all agree are terrible drugs aren't being used at the hospital.
Right.
So until that part gets like, it's a bad look all the way around. But the bar has been set so high. Like, everything that's called a drug nowadays is terrible. Like, there's been no evolution. Like, yikes.
Well, that's part of the problem with keeping drugs illegal, and especially psychedelic drugs, since 1970. It's like stymied human evolution, stymied research, stymied growth.
What did?
Keeping drugs illegal, keeping psychedelic drugs illegal.
Look,
Specifically psychedelic drugs.
If there was a God, then he put a fail-safe on the drug so that you
And that's Richard Nixon.
That's OD.
OD. Yeah. Right,
So,
with those drugs.
Right. So really what's happening is you're like, okay, whatever you're on, do it till you're dead. And so, statistically, that's going to happen. You're going to lose some people, but the people that's not doing it, they're not going to start doing it. Like,
right. They're going to learn from the people that died. Like you learned to not eat poisonous plants.
You would think, but if that were true, nobody in the world would ever do heroin. Like, if you've ever seen somebody kick it, like, you would never do it. Like, it doesn't matter how it makes you feel. If the end result is defecating and urinating in a puddle that you're laying in while being naked, and
Yeah.
like, just call that poison.
Yeah, you would learn. You would learn from other people doing it. That's the thing. It's like to allow that factor into people's lives, but we kind of have with a lot of other factors.
Well, a lot of these things were used sparingly and in context as well. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, sure. Particularly a lot of psychedelics, they were used in a ritualistic way.
But that's like us saying, in that cooking show, they were using herbs and spices. Like, yeah, that goes with it.
Right.
Like, if somebody tells you that they used to come. At one point, it was marijuana. That's how you know there is a cult. How could there not be? Understand, this is not big system. This is in and so there's no such thing as getting too much of it. You're not getting enough and relaxing, which you should be. That's what it'll take the edge off. You're not getting man, all throughout history, people have been searching for this connection. And we don't have historically any evidence. There was elements so that but in this cave and crazy shit was down there.
Hello there. How are you? Best goods in the valley. See you soon.
One of the criteria for it to last over time, like that's what I understood. When you start studying quotes, where great quotes come from, you start getting these people that are known. The further you go back, you see who really said it first. You know what I mean? And that's what brings it full circle to that emerald tablet I was telling you about, right? Because 70% of it is something you personally.
Well, I can't wait to read it. I wasn't even aware of it, but it totally is.
There are things in it that are verbatim to the Bible, verbatim to the Quran, like verbatim. Great thing.
Cat Williams, thank you for being here. Glad we found you. And I finally met you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you very much, man. And we talk well about you all the time. filter it in a way that, like, the energy that you have, I appreciate you very much. Very much. So it's like, thanks for being here. All right. Bye, everybody. Sure. We both, we didn't even coordinate.
Yeah, well, it's that time. It's time to start speaking.
That's cool. Before you say that, you don't. We're on the latest age.
Yeah. Well, how's your Mandarin?
Yeah, it might be a good time to talk about this. That's one of the more disturbing things. Military age matters. What else? They have military here. Well, they probably, it's just like
I mean, I've heard more specifically. I can't admit it, so I can't prove it. So there's a grain of salt up front, but I have heard that even Chinese special forces. If I was in special forces of a hostile country, I'd try to sneak across and do infiltration. So I've heard hundreds of thousands of those, not hundreds of thousands of those, but I don't know if that's true.
well, I wouldn't.
No, you just kind of walk across. And, I mean, there's even memes that are like, give up my American citizenship and quick across it. No, it's like, no, it's not.
It's just we've always, there was always customs. Land. Mouse, the musician, the DJ, he was trying to come into the country to visit his friend, and they said, "No, you're coming to New York." He's like, "No, I'm coming because he's famous. He works."
Yeah.
It's like, "No, I get paperwork. I've been out of the country for like 7 years." He should have just walked through.
Yeah, right. You should have been, no, I'm just here to do whatever I want.
What a bizarre thing. You're a highly skilled, world-famous DJ, and you want to go visit a friend. Who's concerned that you might actually...
Yeah, or like a super pro tennis player who's playing.
By the way, Neil Young came back to Spotify. Congratulations, Neil.
Yeah, well, that's good news.
And his excuse was, he said that because all of the platforms are now allowing like disinformation. So they could just go back on Spotify too.
Yeah.
Great to know you got some ethics.
Yeah, well, everybody's doing disinformation. But yeah, I mean, there's a strategy. The reason, well, there's a strategy. I don't know if playing the strategy. The flower strategy. Explain. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Take advantage of services. Whatever they need to sit Certainly they are. We know historically that the society foundation is the source foundation. Funding that it's like it's not just a bunch of people from South America and China or wherever else, or Mexicans wandering up to the border. It's like groups. It's caravans. It's coordinated with a lot of people. Those organizations. So, big players.
So, what do you think the strategy is? The strategy is sort of worldwide verification.
Escaping that, coming to America. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a plausible motive, right? Is let's overwhelm this as America. Sure, look at me now. But no, I really am. Like I'm still at the end of the day. I just kind of want to be left alone to live my life. Like you do your thing, I'll do my thing. Like I really, if you understand the hey, do whatever you want. If you understand those two lines, and you're on the right side of those, I don't care what you don't do. I don't care what you do.
Which is how we right. That's what your thing is.
But we don't want a system, kind of gets it like the Chinese social credit system is real, right? We're not. This isn't some conspiracy out there. Whether or not it's coming to the United States is a question. And the fact of the matter is that this group, the worldwide verification system, sets something like that up. You can also overwhelm the U.S. system so that all of a sudden, it has to start taking some type of measure problems the crisis here in the United States. They're right after I had some places to go. I'm walking against the grain of this. There was 150,000 London's in trouble. Social democracy, Sweden, Germany's what are the at that point? What is the solution? I was riding with this guy. I spoke to you we got to deal with this problem. We got security stuff. He's talking to me about how he got arrested, if he wants to fight with you, do anything about it, racism, it's happened to him. It's like we've got to start figuring out a way to get him out. It's like how do you get him out? And I don't mean everybody. I mean the people who are causing criminal problems, people who aren't trying to follow the law, and they're going on in the States. Vegas was not. In London, we're going to take this country. We're not going to follow your rules. We're not going to follow the law. I don't remember what it says. It's not exactly right. A lot of information has to be easier these days. But the fact of the matter is, the question becomes, if you have a crisis of that scale, what are your options? And I think that that's part of this. The cloud strategies. How do you problem that's at that scale. I think they're doing the same thing. To be honest with you, it sounds all crazy and conspiratorial, but I think this is why I was doing metal and all musicians to train stuff. If you end up with 1 million kids, you've got 1 million kids. Like, that real all around medical system. What do you do with them? What do you do with 1 million kids? And then their parents and their ancestors. Everybody, the whole system is bending around the reality of this fact. Major changes.
It seems like this, if you want to go full tinfoil, there has to be a plan. So that means there has to be conversations. There has to be mutual agreements. Who are those people? How do those conversations take place?
Well, I mean, we do. Who are the people? Well, the Biden administration has to have conversations with officials to stop Texas from enforcing the border. I was looking at those conversations look like. Whoever's funding it, contract. He said, this is where the money's going to go.
Do you think it could be that it's the federal government putting power in the state?
Oh, I mean, that's the fight between Texas and the so for sure, that's sees itself when we skip over to talk about, you know, the society. What is the society? Well, that's all based off of a lot of people don't know. Famous part of free society, it's a high trust society. Soros is up. You can have that information. So a lot of people start thinking China doesn't like China. Doesn't have like but the idea that there's this line that comes across the south of Texas and Mexico and California, arbitrarily, so to speak, the United States says this is our land and Mexicans have to stay out. You'd be against that. That's not an. It should be like an open Pan-American kind of mega continent. Kind of in this one society. And how to use all the borders. You can use over that. It doesn't mean anything anymore. Because borders are simple. Right? Line on a map. This side is border. This is right? U.S. has law, Mexico has law, and this line is where the U.S. law is Mexican law. Step across. And now if you can water that down so it's like, yeah, there's so many people coming across, is there really a border? That's the idea, because Soros' idea is a global open society. Everything in the whole globe, maybe, I don't know if it's that it's like the EU, but for the whole world.
Wouldn't a better option be America for the whole world?
I would say so, because you can look at Europe and see that it's not doing really well.
Well, we're not sneaking into Mexico. No. In fact, you can just drive into Mexico. Mariana Benzella says a fantastic show, Traffic.
Yeah.
You watch that show?
No.
That lady, she goes to the craziest places. She goes to Colombia and watches them make cocaine, and then goes through the jungle with them, and they have it on their backs. So she did one in Los Angeles, where it turns out that cops, dirty cops in LA, are confiscating weapons and selling them to the cartel. And they just drive into Mexico. Checks you when you go into Mexico. There's a trunk full of AKs, and they're just driving into Mexico. And she goes. The whole episode is documented. And that's the. See, we're not sneaking into there. You can just go right into there.
Yeah.
They're sneaking into here. With the best case scenario, is it really possible to have this everywhere? Well, that's what we want, right? And that's what we want to give spreading democracy. It doesn't totally seem like it worked.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem like it works. And there are some big reasons for that.
Power is the
Power is the big one. And the fact that when you start getting, the wars too far away from Mexico, Ottawa is a bit difficult, right?
Right.
But so there's that kind of stuff. But there's also a huge geopolitical message in that word. When we're looking at geopolitical, it means politics of things like waterways, dams. And so it's like, I go totally like autistic every time I say the word now. And I'm like, damn it, I know it means. I'll use it wrong, but I use it wrong. The idea is that the entire global south, with China as its head, is going to become the superpower of the world. And it's going to be not just trade. I mean, China doesn't exactly trade on their terms. They're going to go easily exploit places. We'll build them a nice airport, we'll build them a nice port, we'll build them some highways. By the way, they'll go straight to the mine and you'll take all of your little come in. That's your deal. Now you're economically dependent on us. Pretty standard game that we're playing. But that Belt and Road Initiative is a competing interest of spreading democracy around the world. So I know that they come along and he said, we went over to China and said, let's spread democracy to China. Well, true if you want to think of it that way. Let's spread democracy to China. And China was like, ha ha ha, yeah, let's see. And they flipped the table on us and made it so that if you want to get into China's market, so first they become the manufacturers of the world. Then if you want to play in the Chinese market, what do you do? Well, see, so you put the firewall, and if you don't play by the Chinese rules, you don't play in China. So now Nike, all these big corporations, all these other NBA, I named Nike. There's a huge consumer market over there that's buying up stuff like crazy. That's one of the things I'm witnessing in China. They start to have money, so they're buying up brand name stuff everywhere that they can all the time to show that they have some money now. And huge market. So they want into the market. The market's gigantic. It's a manufacturing base. So it's, relationships are built. But if you want to play, you play by Chinese rules. So spreading democracy partly didn't work because we have to play by China's rules. And that's the Belt and Road Initiative was meant to create a global South network. So we're the global North, that's South America, parts of Africa, a lot of Indonesia, India, and then China, of course, just Russia. And China's setting itself up to be the kind of global superpower or hegemon of that entire project. And we're talking about, the flow of trillions of dollars of oil, energy, whatever, every year. So that's a huge thing to play with. And it turns out, if we dig Vivek's line, we got outfoxed. So spreading democracy, there are lots of these cultural reasons why they're not ready. I don't know. Maybe some places, maybe not. But there are other pressures too. We've been asleep. We have not been paying attention to China the way that we should have been. Like we should have been in the 80s and 90s. Like, oh no, China, right? But we were like, oh yeah, China. Okay, cool. Make all of our cheap stuff for us.
Well, they've done an amazing thing in combining communism with capitalism.
That's right.
If you just have North Korea, you never know.
I beat this drum and I get called crazy all the time. Because what I'm trying to tell you is that communism doesn't have it. Okay? But it doesn't look like communism because it's like, how is Nike doing this? And I'm picking on Nike and how's it playing? All these how is Disney communism, right? Huge mega corporations. What did Google just lose over its stupid AI? $90 billion or something? Something insane. I didn't even know they had that. And it's like, it's not. So, figure, yeah. And so it's like at least 10 figures on money. Like Elon kind of clothes, and then nobody else did. So anyway, this is the communism. How around the world is huge things communist, right? So communism didn't work, right? Soviet Union sucked. North Korea sucked. Cuba sucks. Like, I'm sure it's like geographically beautiful, but we know those places are dysfunctional as hell.
Right.
We can go to the Eastern Bloc; they're still devastated in a lot of ways. They're still not all the way together. Like, communism didn't work. But if we think of like what Marx did, leading up to say 1917, when Lenin kind of took over as communism 1.0, that never really even got off the ground. Then Lenin got it off the ground, and you get the Soviet model, which is Soviet committee, by the way, if you think about ruling council or committee. So the Soviet model takes over with what they called Marxism-Leninism, and that worked, kind of. It worked because they had it in China until Mao died. They had it in Soviet Union until what happened was when Mao died, like the Soviet Union wasn't doing great, fall apart. A new model got created. We talk about Mao Zedong sometimes, and I watched all day about Mao Zedong research, but we don't talk about his successor. We're actually this vague about what we're actually seeing. I'm saying, I don't care. Central committee to organize our society as long as China's economy grows. That's what he really meant. And so Deng didn't come up with this new model to open markets on his own. We didn't go to China necessarily just to spread democracy. We went to go to China. And who we? Well, that's the name of the name. Who was in the meeting? There's a movie about some of these meetings were in China. It's not a movie. There's a movie called Mr. Deng Goes to Washington. It took place in Washington, D.C. So you can go watch the movie. Deng Xiaoping is the leader of China. He's already networking with Klaus Schwab around the spacesuit. But he meets with, in the list of people, Henry Kissinger, Jimmy Brzezinski, allegedly T.H. Chan, David Rockefeller, and the sitting new emperor or whatever, CCP chairman of China, Deng Xiaoping. And they cook up this plan to open Chinese markets. And the plan was to maybe to spread democracy into America, but I suspect it was really great. We open those markets, a huge amount of money, giant multinational corporations are not tied to geographic parts, and they can get rich off of their balls. Now, some of these guys, I think, are also ideologically motivated. Rockefeller's in front of communist crap all over the world for a very long time. China was communist. Deng Xiaoping said, I'm not opening the market for the market. I'm opening the market for socialism, to make socialism productive. So they had I think there was more of a plan there that we take into account. I mean, Vivek gives, I need a tinfoil. Vivek sees that our motivations in building China were necessarily good. So to create a picture of a trap that's called Thucydides' trap, military strategy that the only escape from would be to facilitate China's rise and destiny in the West. I think they knew what they were doing.
So you think by spreading democracy, their idea was to reinvigorate China's economy.
Yeah. Really? Yeah, so as China gets to the...
That is so 4D chess. The back pages of Reddit conspiracy.
Well, listen, we know that Klaus Schwab is if there are conspiracies, the James Bond villain kind of not casting.
Didn't totally have those in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Darth Vader
The
outfit on.
spacesuit. I'm not told you about his spacesuit. We put it up on the
Yes,
screen.
yes.
Do you know who Klaus Schwab's mentor was?
I do, but I forgot.
Henry Kissinger, that's right, who was in the same meeting. This was a Harvard
His
philosopher.
father was
That's I can't vet that for positive sure, but that's what I have heard.
What is the soul? What is the truth? Let's find out who's Klaus Schwab's father. At least his father did something. Like,
Wasn't he the guy that was like bringing like nuclear technology from Nazis to South Africa or
something crazy like that?
I mean, I know the story vaguely. I knew it at one point.
Like, you can't help but be father.
That's correct.
And, unfortunately, you get born and your dad's a Nazi.
I'm much less worried about Klaus being a Nazi than I am, like, he has an interview he gave where he's in his office, and behind him, up on the bookshelf, is a bust of Lenin. How the hell did that get there? Like,
Right.
Other than Jordan Peterson, who puts one of those up? Communists. When Jordan's studying them, and that's why he puts them up as a reminder. No shade at Jordan, obviously, but like Klaus has got some, big ambitions, I think, and his mentor was Kissinger.
So right out of the movie, like, this cannot be real. No one is really nothing. That accent, and no one's freaking out.
I think that's my favorite ones where he's having the conversation. He's like, yes, and some of you all have some shit.
Yeah.
So you will be there. I will be there. We will be having a conversation.
So, inaccurate WEF. This is from a book I read.
Yeah, this is Reuters.
Founder Klaus Schwab, family tree shared online. So, what is the inaccurate? That was the big one.
Oh yeah, because his mother is my super secret.
Okay, so that's fake. That's not true. But the thing about his father.
This is explaining what his father was too. His
Okay.
father was Jewish.
And his father did what?
His father don't know.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing with Soros, though. Soros was Jewish, and his uncle took him around as a young boy when they confiscated property from the Jews, and he had to pretend that he was a Christian.
Yeah. Did you ever see the interview with?
So who is his dad? Okay, let's clarify that. Okay, so who is this gentleman? What did he do? Wilhelm, what did you do? Okay. Did Soros's or Klaus Schwab's father work for Hitler? Claim George Soros worked for Hitler. Okay. But what did his dad do? Because this book that I read was about elite power structures. They go into the world of economics. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something.
My source for his mentor being Kissinger is a book that was published by the World Economic Forum called The World Economic Forum: The First 40 Years, which was published in 2011 to brag about how cool they've been. He also brags that in 78 he started making connections to Deng Xiaoping and trying to bring the stakeholder, as he called it, capitalism model into China, which is what China actually installed. It's this dirty fusion of neoliberalism, which is basically how do you get huge corporations to basically suck off of the government. That's the thing the left has been mad about for 50 years. How do you fuse that to communism? And China's the answer. And what I think is all this ESG stuff was constructed around make the West have it too.
So, environmentalism, what is it? Environmental social governance?
That's right, yeah.
That's ESG.
Yeah.
And that stands for, what is the goal of ESG?
Corporate control goal. So it is to create... It is to create a metric, a measurement tool, to assess the likely long-term viability of a corporation based on its environmental, social, corporate.
Long-term viability for the nation?
No, for the corporation. Here's what's going on. ESG was created at the United Nations in 2003 by a guy named James Gifford. And the point was, he said, well, there's at that point about $6 trillion of money that's sitting out there to people's pensions. It's passive, right? Mutual funds, index funds, all this mutual funds, 401ks, state pension funds in particular. $6 trillion of the world sitting out there. It's just people's retirement funds. And the question people asked was how. He was a forest guy. He was like, how do we apply that to saving the forest, save the trees, right? And so he came up with this idea that for environmental assessments, anytime you have a metric, you can use that metric in some way or another in order to gain that metric. We have metrics to say, well, how environmentally compliant are companies? Like kind of an extension of corporate social responsibility. If we can measure that, then what we can do is we can start directing. We can say, well, companies that have a long-term, or that have good environmental policy have a better long-term portfolio. But these are 30-year investments, which are people's pensions. So it's long-term success that we're interested in, not boom and bust cycles in the market. So the stated ambition, not just to do what I said, but is specifically to do that. Can you bring that passively invested money into what they call impact investing? In other words, to do activism with investor money by investing in energy companies or
say they've snooped through their partner's phone. VPN.com.
It's not like some mysterious document. It's on the Harvard website. They're talking about corporate bonuses. Right? So it's a Harvard corporate law website. Document talking about corporate bonuses and corporate bonus structure. And that your governance, your ESG scores, G part will go up if you give corporate bonuses to yourself for implementing ESG. That's just naked, right? And so they can come in and say, well, you want to go to the ESG score, and they can make that important or whatever. I guess they have made that important. And they say, well, if you want a good ESG score, you need to put an activist on your board, or 30% women on your board, or DEI requirements on your Boeing board. Or you have to have a good corporate equality index score, which is published by the Human Rights Campaign, which means that you're not just having a non-discriminatory workplace for LGBT, but you're also promoting LGBT agendas. You're lobbying on behalf of bills, one way or the other. And the legislature will cut your funds. They told the airlines they need to around activists to the pride parade so they'd have more people at them for reduced prices. Oh, yeah. Why do you think Dylan Mulvaney's face was on a beer can? The whole fallout of the Dylan Mulvaney explosion at Bud Light, all of it was about the CEI score, because then the Human Rights Campaign came out and said, well, you didn't stand up for Dylan, so we're going to lower your score anyway. And they were like, oh, no. And then everything got all tossed up. But these numbers mean a lot to people. So the stated goal was to create a set of measurements that they could use to justify taking trillions of dollars of other people's money and doing activist investing with it. And that all turned into the S is now DEI, woke social justice. It's not social responsibility. Whatever they want. Elon Musk bought Twitter, and his social score for Tesla went through the floor. Like, what did that have to do? And then all of a sudden, Tesla's a racist company they accused him of. Like, what are you talking about, right? Well, they didn't like that he bought Twitter. Weapons manufacturers like Chinese Halliburton were, social bad guys. And then all of a sudden, the conflict. Oh, we need missiles, and they changed the score basically overnight. That's because the social environment of the world changed. It's all verifiable. So maybe it wasn't meant to be in 2003. Maybe the guy just wanted to save the truth, but it's become an instrument of control and effectively a social credit system for corporations, forced corporations, and that's what Larry Fink said about it. No, of course. I got it. George Soros said, he had a crazy interview before. Nobody knows about it.
So hold what you were just saying about Larry Fink.
We're piling Jamie in there.
So that's a fake photo, right? It says Hitler's father was the managing director of a subsidiary of Zurich-based engineering firm Weiss. The history of Eugen's relationship with Nazism in general is complex, but there's no substantive evidence of German leadership, particularly evidence. A fact check published by accredited German used de-Nazification records uncovered Schwab was a member of some National Socialist organizations. That alone does not prove any relationship between high command or believe me, the German National Socialist organizations back then essentially were Nazis. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, that is what it means. That's what it means. Like, that's what Nazi means, right? So this is a weird sort of
feels a little dodgy.
Yeah, it's dodgy, right?
Well, it says he doesn't have evidence of ties to high-ranking leadership. It says he was a member of organizations tied to a party, just not Hitler.
But hold this. While the Escher-Weiss branch in Ravensburg, Germany, which Eugen managed, used prisoners of war and forced laborers, it's not clear whether the company was forced to do so by the Nazis or because of the lack of workers. Wait a minute. You just admitted one 100% that he's a Nazi, because that's what Nazis did. They used prisoners of war and forced laborers. So they ran prison camps with probably Jews. So what does that mean? That means that's what the Nazis did. Are we arguing over semantics?
They are. I don't
That
think we
seems like, but that's an incredible argument to say that he managed a plant. He managed the branch that used prisoners of war and forced laborers who were not clear whether he's a Nazi. This is a weird article.
It's super weird.
Well, maybe Newsweek was like, you gotta read this.
I mean, it's a bit of a damning accusation.
Okay, this is right. They're discrediting it by saying maybe he wasn't that close to Hitler. There's no proof. But what they're not discrediting is that he did exactly what was horrific about what the Nazis did in World War II.
Yeah, and I saw the word plutonium up there, so the nuclear stuff that we were talking about is
What a weird article.
very
That's how much power is at the top.
Yeah, well,
That you have to write weird articles like that. Going, well, there's no real. Hitler was not. Unlike reports, Hitler was not this top 9 on MySpace.
I mean, that would be like, you'd think that they would write the article like about me, because I've said like make America great again before, but I've never met Trump. So like, but they write the article like James has never met Trump. I got an LC profile, and it's sort of the other way around. Did you know I'm an extremist? Oh,
you think
they put me in a category called General Hate, so I sent a letter formally with a title, and General Hate. Like it's like a word in general.
Yeah. Well, it's just ridiculous. You're a brilliant guy, and you're pointing out really important stuff.
You know what it's one of the first things they go after me for on there is second thing that they go after. I made a series of tweets. So you're a series of tweets mocking George Floyd on January 6th.
On January 6th.
Yeah, I pretended that George Floyd is like, leftist Santa Claus. So I was like, if you fight for justice for George Floyd, it's American George Floyd will bring you presents on January 6th.
Just stupid jokes.
Right?
Jokes.
I totally had forgotten that I had done it, and then it was on my SPC.
Jokes. Well, did you see about that Flemish guy who's a part of the government who just got sentenced to 1 year in jail for sharing racist memes in a private chat?
I saw that last night.
A private chat. So if you got like a, fucking iMessage chat group, is that a private chat? Are they talking about that? Are they talking about social media platforms? Either way.
Yeah.
This guy shared racist memes.
That was like when Tucker Carlson went to Russia, which I'm kind of like, that's about for sure, but Tucker Carlson went to Russia, and he finds out while he's there that the NSA is reading his encrypted signal chain.
I was the governor, and there was a bunch of these companies that do something.
Hail, friend.
Yeah, right, of course.
I could infiltrate all of them.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. I know a lot of people that trust those things. It's a wild shit on those things. They talk to me on WeChat or
Yeah, sure, whatever.
yeah, it's fucking get the fuck out of here, bitch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's WhatsApp. WeChat's
WeChat's the Chinese one.
Yeah.
But Jamie, so what was the story behind that? Yes. I want to know what the tweets, what the memes were up there. Right, but is it, like they say memes. The problem with memes is it could just be funny. It could be like the Jews in the tunnel in New York City.
Yeah, right.
Something
Hello
crazy
there.
that they're encountering Gollum.
Like, Pepe Frog is like a racist meme or something. It's wrong.
Exactly. But the thing is, like, you can take that frog and which is what they do.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly right.
It's also people do use that frog for crazy shit for funsies.
Yeah,
Because they're
yeah.
talking, they're shit posting.
Yeah, shit posting's totally a thing. And
Shit posting is a thing, and you have to understand these people don't even mean what they're saying. They're saying something out. Some of them might, but a lot of them are just making something that's so outrageously offensive that it's funny.
that's right.
And they're doing it anonymously, and they're sharing with people just for the lulls.
Yeah, shock comedy. It's totally a thing. And then you got some dude, that passed his physical fitness test wearing a polo and some khakis. Like, oh, we've got an extremist here, guys.
Right. It's weird that physical fitness and exercise and health is being tied to right-wing extremity now, or extremists.
Yeah, I saw your gym. You're totally a lunatic.
I must be a lunatic.
Yeah.
But there's many times they've tried to push things like that. You're like, what is the motivation behind this? Is this just for clicks and outrage? It could be. Is there like someone who's actually saying that it would be a good idea if we connected health and fitness to right-wing extremism so that you would be scared to be fit and healthy? Like, that's the you want to go full tinfoil hat. Who do you want to have a war with? Do you want to have a war with Trump supporters, or do you want to have a war with the people who wear pink hats and are mad?
Like our health ministers.
Yeah, exactly. Which war do you want to go to? The people that are unhealthy, I'll fight them all day long.
Yeah,
They're going to quit.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't have any training.
You just walk up a hill.
Yeah, they're gonna fight them from the top of a large mountain. That's where you make your base. No one's making it up there except fit people. That's probably the reason why they put civilizations up high. Make it really hard to get to them.
Yeah, lots of advantages.
This is stupid. It's a stupid thing. Everybody should be healthy, you fucking idiot. Like, what are you saying?
Well, I get to take the tinfoil hat back. I think there's a strategy. I call this the politics of compliance, and I think that we've gone through it with everything. In fact, I think it's all they do. It's the same thing over and over again, right? Whether it's COVID, whether it's MAGAs, it's deplorables, which work kind of backfired big time, right? And then whether it's all the identity politics, whether it's the environmental stuff, even with this, what they do, and this is the politics of compliance. I just did this for Robert Pullman. Speak that is a financial crisis time. I'm sitting there and it's like 9 in the morning. I wake him. And so I get a politics of compliance. So what it is that you start off by saying, we're going to have this glorious, better world. There are people who are keeping us from getting right. So there are the people who want to move forward into the glorious, better world. But then there's the enemies of the people who are dragging these deplorables and climate deniers. It doesn't matter if the climate change is true or not. It's labeled, right? The Christian nationalists are labeled racist and transphobic. So we can have unity, but we can't have unity. You are making the sacrifice, and you got the shot in your arm. You did what you were supposed to. We can't open up society yet because these other people are dragging their feet or resisting. So you have to have ways then, why the fitness thing, right? You have to have ways to identify who the people are that aren't going along with the program. So it's like you got blown up for this. You're like, well, I got COVID. I feel like shit. I feel really, really bad. By the way, last time I was here,
you got COVID?
Yeah, I went home. I had COVID.
How'd you get it?
I think from when I went out to dinner after this, because I felt fine until I got home. So.
Oh, right from dinner, like a couple hours later.
Well, there was somebody at dinner that had like a cold or something. But the COVID, it was like I barely got sick, so I didn't know that it was like the person. I would have gone out to dinner. I wouldn't have thought I was sick.
I didn't even say I really got really sick. That's part of the problem too.
But the thing is that you became an emblem of the thing that you're not allowed to talk about, right? The apple the horse paste, right? And so there's all those articles. That's why you got like all that drama. You got stuff or whatever all happened. You were the pariah, man. Why? Well, one of the things I remember you talking about was health and fitness. Like, I'm healthy, I'm fit. I got this set of drugs. I took it. It seems to work. I felt way better real quick. And they can't have that if they're trying to create this dynamic that all the people who are staying home, wearing a mask, cowering in fear primarily, or later getting the shot, complying. That's why I call it the politics of compliance. So all of a sudden you became an emblem of, well, maybe you should go outside and exercise. Yeah. And that's a huge problem for that group of compliant people. And if you can whip them up or create conditions with misuses of power, like many of our state governments, national and federal government did, Canada really did, and say, well, we have to keep everything closed down for your safety. We can open it back up, except disinformation, right-wing extremists like Joe Rogan are out there pushing the wrong ideas. Well, in that case, you can get people to hate the person who's not going along with the program. That's why I call it the politics of compliance.
This is what I could find about this story.
The Flemish story. Okay. So Belgium's far-right prodigy gets prison term for inciting violence.
Woo!
Okay. Okay.
This is the sentencing that happened. Yes, they showed he got a year. 5 other people in his group got sentences. Their charges included hatred, racism, Holocaust denial, and breaching local gun law. It's the only notice of that I saw.
What is local gun law? Is that like depicting guns
so
in a favorable way?
It could be that
As if it's a meme.
That's
why, isn't that wild? Like gun law of memes.
I love how good you're getting at picking apart BS, though. It said here it had them posting pictures of themselves holding weapons,
saying they're totally ready. Oh, okay. So posting photos, is it illegal to hold the guns? Like, I want to know if they're illegally possessing the guns. Is that what they're saying with gun law, or is it just photographs of the guns?
This is the report from the 2018 documentary that was made about them. And got into the Discord.
So these are allegedly far-right Belgium.
Not showing the audience this, but some of the memes, I guess.
Okay.
Showing himself which ones are illegal.
That one's apparently Muhammad as a Lego puppet, Lego toy, and this is Islamic harassment, reward the heroic man with sex, beautiful pass. So these are problematic. You can be racist you can't be racist if there's only one race. Okay, that's like an anti-Hitler meme. Just holding the gun. Maybe so. Here's the thing: is that gun illegal there? Let's Google. Just pause for a second and open up a new tab and Google Belgian gun laws. I want to know if they have laws similar to. There's some countries that have a high population of people having guns. Firearms are generally not allowed in Belgium. Good types of blades and pepper spray are also considered. So you can't carry a gun. Click on that. Can citizens carry a gun in Belgium? See if there's any. See where it says it right there. Just click on that. Whether an arm is legal or illegal mainly depends on who owns it, sells it, or uses it. While most people are prohibited from owning or using automatic firearms, they are not per se. The armed forces and the police traders may procure these arms for them, and arms collectors can own them. So, if these guys were an armed collector, they could own them, but that gun was an automatic weapon, I think. I'm not really a gun expert. I only got a quick glance at it, but it looked like an automatic weapon. At the very least, a semi-automatic weapon. It had a large magazine. Go to the photo again. The gun. So either way, it seems like unless you're a security person, yeah, that's hard. Unless you're a security person, but at the end of the day, it seems like unless you're military or police, you're not supposed to own that. Right. So that could be a photo of it. That makes me feel a little bit better than if it's just like a gun meme. Because there's just well, those memes those are insane that they're using the Hitler one as an example. Yeah. It's really like showing that like Hitler was crazy. Right. Like you can't be racist. This is my thing. We'll have only one race, and no one can be racist. That's fucking ridiculous.
I mean, that's one of the things that the SPLC accuses me of, though, is part of the white genocide theory, which is not true. But
well, there's plenty of people who have said crazy things about white people that you're allowed to say.
I just said that if the logic of CRT was played out to its conclusion,
also a problem with, when you tell people that a group of people are responsible for things. A group of people, like just completely composed of individuals with completely different lives.
Right.
Everyone's got different experiences. When you say that that group of people is either bad or that group of people is responsible for everything, like as soon as you do that, you allow othering.
That's right.
Othering is the number one problem we have tribally, culturally, that we can look at other human beings as if they're not us. And this is what's going on in Gaza, in Israel right now.
That's what's going on with this guy. I'm not going to defend whatever.
Right.
This dude, like, the counter reaction of identity politics. The other side starts saying, okay, identity politics. Right or wrong, what it does is it creates more of it. It's like,
it makes people more racist.
Yeah, it does.
It does. And when they feel like there's racism allowed against white people, there's this double standard that they get racist. There's a lot of people that do that now. And it fuels it. It's fucking horrible. We should abhor racism with everything. We should just treat everyone as individuals.
That's right. Any arbitrary power, especially when it's applied corporately to groups, in Tennessee, it's in our state constitution. The second article or whatever, section 1, article 1, or I guess section 2. Non-resistance, I think I can almost do it from memory. The non-resistance against arbitrary power is to be considered slavish, absurd, and against the good and happiness of mankind or something like that. So we should resist racism's arbitrary power. You don't know that guy. His skin color doesn't tell. It's arbitrary to dislike him or to exclude him or whatever. Whether he's white, whether he's black, whether he's, Hispanic, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with like sexism. You don't know what that woman's capable of, for sure. Let her try. It doesn't mean you change the standards, right? And so this is the pattern that has been exploited, and this is where the double standards came from. It's you should give us access, and our sensibilities are like, hell yeah, we should give people access. Let them try. Let them in. Don't exclude people. Racism sucks. Homophobia sucks. The sexism sucks. Misogyny is awful. Let them in. But then what happens is they say, well, you're not accommodating. You're not accommodating. So it's like firefighters. Like, well, we got to lower the standards. Military, we got to lower the standards so more women can pass the test. Oh, now we've got a problem. Right? And so after you make the accommodation, then you change the political structure. And it's one thing that's just about people, but it's like almost all this stuff seems to forget that manipulators and sociopaths and psychopaths exist.
Exactly.
Because what they're going to do is they're going to come in and they're going to say, you have to change it for me. And you change it for them. And then they're going to say, you have to change it for me again. And then you change it for them again. And then, an inch or two at a time, you're a mile down the road and you're like, how did I get it? But that's the thing. It's like I'm all in this restorative justice thing in the school. Oh, let's sit around and have a talk circle and talk it out. Two kids get in a fight or whatever, or somebody's doing something antisocial or something. Let's talk it out with a group and let's heal. All right, so it sounds a little hippie to me, but fine. Let's look at it. Some percentage, I would guess, is probably 3 or 4, not really any, of the population. Just to throw a guess out there, roughly 3. What's the total number of psychopaths, borderline personality, and so on? They're going to be like, oh, I can get away with this. Oh, I'm not going to get in trouble if I bust some other kid's head at school. I should just sit in a talk circle and say, oh, I'm sorry. And then it's all over. Like, they're going to game. There are people who will game the system. And it's like this kind of like empathy-driven Fury Fairy just gave everybody money to keep trying. Nonsense is what's driving us off of the cliff. And it's causing these fights in our schools. Terrible policies, like justice policies. A lot of it's, I remember all these articles back in publishing. We just paid people not to commit crime. Yes. What the hell are you talking about? It's like, have you ever done something edgy? It's fun. That, for real, like if you're in a gang, it's going to like validate yourself too.
Wasn't there something they were trying to do this recently? They were trying to get people money to not commit violent crimes. There was like an actual policy somewhere, Maryland, somewhere nutty. Like where you're like, what the fuck did you just say? And the root of it, it's like if you don't have, everyone wants a meritocracy. We all do. We want meritocracy. We want the best people. We want competition, which allows people to get better. Allows us to make the best products, the best things, the best. Generation Fellowship of Pay. I think this is a new program out of San Francisco. Aims to decrease gun violence by paying high-risk individuals at least $300 a month to stay out of trouble. That just means don't get caught. It just means don't get caught. And also, how do you make your money? $300 is not going to cover it. If you're selling
San Francisco,
yeah. If you're selling meth, you're making a lot more than $300. That's ridiculous. But my point was, where I was getting to is like everybody wants a meritocracy, but if you can keep it so there's no equality of opportunity, if you can keep it that way, you're never going to really get a meritocracy, and that would be a better way to control it.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, this is full tinfoil hat. Like, the reason why all these social justice people are like so excited about pumping billions of dollars into Ukraine, billions of dollars into whatever's happening in Israel and Palestine, but zero talk about doing that to Baltimore, zero talk about doing that to Detroit. Like, Maui, that's the only. Well, Maui is, that's a different thing. That is also another thing.
But no, I feel you said the crime.
Yeah, the crime. Like, hey, there's got to be a way to fix this. There's got to be some sort of a solution. But if you don't, if we never get, not in 10 or 20 years, never get to equality of opportunity, you're always going to have a certain amount of disenfranchised people. You have a portion of your population for sure that's going to be in trouble. They're going to have problems. Then you always got solutions. You got opportunities. You've got like this little moving game.
Yeah.
If everything is even, and then it's just competition, and then America thrives to be the greatest utopian idea of what we had hoped it would be, well, then it's really difficult to control people because they recognize that freedom is one of the most important aspects of having this kind of amazing opportunity to do whatever the fuck you want.
Brother, this is why I wear a tinfoil hat now all the time, basically. Except I'm not really afraid of the radio waves, so I don't really wear a tinfoil hat at all. I'm more afraid that this is intentional in a lot of places, in a lot of ways. But we know in those cities, we know.
But if they played it out this much, if they thought about it and said, you know what, we want more crime, we want more illegal aliens, and if we keep the chaos,
well, let me
keep passing laws,
let me explain, because if you read the Marxist literature, which is unfortunately my damn job, you can derive a number of different conclusions. One of these conclusions you can derive absolutely is, you know what propels revolution in a country better than anything? Stability. Social stability. So if you can destabilize a population, then you can get them to crave a revolution, or you can, like with the Patriot Act, you can get them to assent to sacrificing their liberties for security. So if you can destabilize an area, then you can cause them to want to have radical political change. We just saw this. This woman who's in the Fox News this morning, so she's talking about, she's from Maryland. She's in the government. She says that she wants to burn the country to the ground so her ideology can rise out of the ashes. Right? So she did this publicly, and she's the equity coordinator in one of these cities. If you can find it, you can pull it up. I don't know. It was on Fox News. Equity coordinator, burn city, rise from the ashes. You'll probably find it. We know who's causing these crime problems. It's those DAs. We know who ran the DAs, who paid the money to run them. They called them Soros DAs. They finally broke the spell, saying that this very, very rich man and his very, very rich son are using their very large amounts of money to do things that aren't necessarily great politically.
Well, they used to be able to say, if you criticize George Soros, you're an anti-Semite. And that was what they always went with. Like,
you got to see this thing. I don't want to overlook JD again, but in 2004, Soros gave an interview to the LA Times. You can't look this up. I can't be real. It's real. He said that he thinks he's a god. He said that he always suspected that he might be a god. And he kind of controlled it for a long time. And then finally, he just kind of realized he is, and he kind of gave into it.
Is it possible that he was doing exactly what you were doing when you were making jokes about George Floyd and January 6th?
I mean, maybe. I'm trying to think of a time where I would have talked to the Los Angeles Times in a deliberate interview and said, I'm Zool.
Maybe he was a little drunk, and he was just, why am I doing this bullshit interview? I'm worth $30 billion.
I mean,
he's talking some shit.
He reads pretty intentionally, but it's possible. Maybe George Soros was doing some shit posting to the LA.
Good time.
I mean, I would shit post. I would love to shit post these big journalistic outlets now, but 20 years ago, I don't know.
Well, now they're all falling apart. If you want to shit post, you better do it. I mean, you do want to What was the thing that we were just looking at before that, though?
The fox thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, you should see this for real. I was like, I saw it this morning.
Yes, the lady
What?
said burn it all down.
It's unfortunate. Like, I should screenshot and pull it on my phone.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't have anything, haven't accomplished anything, but that sounds like a good idea.
That's right. So if you can make these people...
My ideology can rise from the ashes.
the opposite.
Well, it's like, okay, if you created a whole industry based on equity,
But also,
that's just also sounds like it works.
so we gotta ask the question. Equity official wants her ideology question. What ideology she wants to do? That's the equity part. What is that? What is the definition? It is the administrative system which so it's not the quality of life. It's the shares are adjusted to people needing it. So that's when you and I go to range and I shoot the bow and I suck. I shoot the bow and I put it in the hole. And Jimmy pulls my arrow out and puts it over 3 and sticks it in the hole. I can't beat you. So we pull your arrow out of the bullseye and we move it over, like put it like right below mine and like the third or fourth ring out. Actually, I missed the target.
I can't wait for society to collapse and my ideology to rise from the ashes. Rise from the ashes? It says the same thing.
No, there it is. It's in this other quote in 2020. So it's a different. So Fox has stitched some things together here.
Okay. So different places. Planning for how we will eat and live and grow after we burn it all down. Well, I think the idea is that like there's enough money. If you take away the money from the billionaires and distribute it evenly, no one has to work.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like a 12-year-old's idea of what to do with money. And it's also like, do you like phones? Okay, who do you think makes those phones? Who do you think designs those phones? Who do you think works really fucking hard to make sure that the new Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra is better than the iPhone? Who the fuck do you need competition?
Yeah, the person who does that is on the line for a huge reward if it works out.
They want a yacht.
They want a yacht.
They want a yacht. That guy wants a yacht.
That's
He's
right.
like, I can see myself right now in the fucking British Virgin Islands,
Yeah.
party with my friends on this yacht. That's what he wants. So that's why he's willing to work so hard. If you fucking get free money, you're not going to work that hard,
No.
and you're not going to get the Samsung S24 Ultra.
No.
You're not going to get
As
that.
in the thing is not going to exist.
It's not going to exist.
Nobody has the drive to make it.
No one's going to make it. You're going to be forced to have imagine that person who said that. Imagine if that person had to design electric cars, had to put together a manufacturing plant, had to figure out. Imagine some fucking person who says, I don't want to work. I want to burn it all down. I don't want to work.
So my ideology can rise.
And you take them seriously, and this is a person that's in charge of, this is a thought person, a person who's in charge of ideas, and a person who's in charge of implementing some sort of a better system for society. For real.
Yeah, no, ideology is a word people don't understand. I have to read into it.
It's a cult.
That's the word I was going for. Thank you. It is. It's a cult. It's a cult. Okay, so what it is, ideology is a fancy word for a mythology that has a direction and it has activity. It's a cult. What we're looking at is the dynamics of a cult. Everything will work out if everybody believes it. We know how it'll work. Nobody else knows how it'll work. Put us in charge. Obviously, when it doesn't work, somebody else is at fault. That's actually, that's actually, you can talk to people who still believe that the Soviet Union worked out, and they say the reason the communist countries failed, because obviously, they're catastrophes, hundreds of millions dead, works, they collapse. They say this is because there are capitalist countries pressuring them from the outside that prevent them from working. So you can say, I've had this conversation. So if it can only work if every country is communist, and they're like, that's a global cult, is what that is. That's not real. It's fantasy land, and that's that I think because equity means socialism, as I just told you. I think that redistribute shares to make. I think that actually kind of shows that this is the cult mentality that we're dealing with.
It is cult mentality, but it's ingenious. This is what's ingenious. This is the genius aspect of it is that they've managed to cast such a wide net over what it means to be progressive, that they've included all these radical Marxist ideas that everybody dismissed forever.
Yeah.
And they threw them all in with this gender stuff and LGBTQ stuff, and then they threw that all in with race.
Yeah.
And then they threw that all in with immigration, and then somehow attached it to funding international conflicts.
That's right.
At the expense of the people, the poorest people, who could benefit the most from that money.
That's right. And using other people's pension money to fund a lot of it, to get it off the ground.
And if you oppose it, you're fascist. It's kind of brilliant.
It's sort of brilliant.
It's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
It's either intentional, or we're just so vulnerable to ideologies, which seems to also be the case. It's why there's so many different sects of religions, even sects of Christianity. The fucking Protestants hated the Catholics forever. What happened in Iraq with the Sunnis and the Shias? This is always the case.
It's always the case.
People have like really rigid ideologies, and the punishment for abandoning them, or the punishment for stepping outside, is death.
Yeah, that's
Death.
right.
You're fucking dead, you bitch.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
not one of us.
You're not one.
And that is what we're seeing in this country.
That's
We're
right.
seeing this weird leftist, progressive ideology with a super wide net that covers so many things, including all these industries that are set up to make it look like they want a better world. But really, they just want to dominate a sector of the market, whether it's green energy or agriculture or food or plant-based meat or any of this fucking psycho shit that they're trying to push all the time. They're doing it for profit, and they're doing it this super wide net of being a good person, being a progressive.
That's why I call it neoliberal communism. And I say that the Deng Xiaoping character we were talking about earlier is like, he's the guy that nobody knows about, except, I mean, the Chinese do, obviously, but we really need to pay attention to what he cooked up and how what they have, whether it's World Economic Forum or UN or the WHO with their god-awful treaty to, the health sovereignty thing. You know what I'm talking about, right?
What is that?
Let me finish the thought.
Okay, yeah.
They're copying that same model. It's neoliberalism, which is how do you get huge corporations to be able to basically get tons of money, have monopoly power, and make it off of the government. That's why the Rockefeller guy would have been interested in all this. And how do you do it with a communist ideology at the same time? China is the model. We're seeing it build out in the West. This stuff, like, we now are seeing proof. It just came out the other day that the Chinese are, like, funding the trans stuff. They're, like, pushing it, right? I just wrote a book. I didn't even know that. But I wrote a book about the trans stuff. It just came out on the 29th. Called The Queering of the American Child, to talk about how schools have been turned into, like, indoctrination centers. It all goes back to the, not just Marxist, but Maoist strategy to make the world conform, and politics and compliance to make the world conform to this new ideological vision that they have. That it's got to be like you're saying, it's got to be religious. Like, believe it.
It is religious.
New values. They even say that. Todd Schwab said that you can't rationalize. You can't. How did he say? You can't rationalize values to the intellectual process.
We've all seen children that grow up in religious cults. We've all seen horror stories of children that come from these radical religious
How is life treating you?
They escape when they get older, and they tell the story of the indoctrination and what all they believed. When I see a woman and she's got 3 trans kids, that is what I think of.
Yeah,
I think of someone
See you soon.
who's a full adherent and ideologically captured by this cult, to the point where they see value in having their child give up because it looks good for them socially. It's like they have a flag on their fucking porch, and they wave their kids around, and it's weird. And it's not everybody. No, it's not everybody. But it's not everybody that has a trans kid, or someone who kid thinks he's trans is probably gay, and probably if you leave them alone and don't encourage them to,
or a young woman with
trauma,
or
autism
going through her period, which is like, what's going on in my body?
Right.
I don't like it.
If you have girls, that's a traumatic experience for them. It's very difficult. It's confusing. It's weird.